Okay, guys, we have got something really special for you all today. It's a really good friend of mine. I actually worked with Lisa on the Rose Parade. I know we've talked about that a few times, and she has been so gracious to join us here on our live podcast. And Lisa, I want to turn it over to you. And I just want you to tell everyone what kind of business you actually do.
Okay, well, my name is Lisa Waddell, and I've been a florist for 35 years, I guess. And about almost 5 years ago, I had this crazy, crazy idea. Um, I retired for 2 weeks, and then I had this idea that I wanted to bring a whole new concept into the floral business. The last few years that I had my wedding business, I had brides keep coming to me and asking me about doing their own flowers, or could they bring me their own flowers, and then would I put them together? It just all kinds of craziness. And so the concept for our business plan is kind of like if you have any of the wine and painting parties around y'all. We have them. It's called canvas and cocktails. We're kind of like that, but with flowers. That's the best way to describe it. However, we don't have a liquor license, but they are allowed if they want to bring in a bottle of wine, they can. But anyway, so that's what we do. We have them come in and we have flower parties.
So basically, you have packages that they can choose from.
Yes,
And you have the flowers there already prepped and ready for them to go, and then the bride and the wedding party comes in and just has a little party making their own bouquets. Is that correct?
correct. And so a lot of people freak out because they think that the flowers are done like the day of the wedding. And Michael, you know as well as I do that we do not do the flowers the day of the wedding. And
Correct.
depending on how big the wedding is, I mean, uh, you can't even do them the day before. There's different things that you can prep and do, and so we have brides come in about 2 days for a Saturday wedding. Our Thursdays are usually booked up pretty solid, and I I have currently about maybe 30 different packages on our website, and so they can take a look at them and pick which one works for them. And of course, we can have little alterations in color and stuff like that. And we order all the flowers. I have recipes for everything. And the flowers come in. Of course, my business partner and myself, we clean everything, prep everything, count everything. And when they come into the shop, uh, if there's 5 bridesmaids, we will have 5 buckets completely full of exactly the same stuff. The bride has her own. And when they get in to the shop, then usually, and we also do centerpieces. So I usually instruct on the bouquets, and my business partner Laura instructs the centerpieces. And when they come in, they just get on their aprons and away we go. That makes sense?
Sharon, I don't know about you, but I'm not sure Mike has really thought this completely through. Would you agree with me? I'm not sure he knows what he's doing here. He already knows the number of local listeners we have, although we have them nationwide. Well, actually, even in other countries. But Sharon,
Awesome.
does he really know what he's opening himself up to? I mean, Lisa, this sounds amazing. How exciting that girls can be so interactive with their weddings.
When Michael first told me about what you do, he's the florist on 99.9% of my weddings. And I was like, I really wish you would start doing that because I would have a ball. I would have to go with him because I would have so much fun. But he told me no.
Well, and I tell you what, I mean, I know that Sharon has been saying that to me for a long time, but she did get me to do a bridal shower. And exactly what you just explained, that's what we're doing for how many people, Sharon?
75.
75 women.
Oh,
Now Sharon thinks that's going to be a breeze, but I'm glad you explained how you clean all the flowers. You have every person have a bucket. She thought it was just going to be a little clean thing. I said, Sharon, there's more to details than what you think.
I said, what do you need, like half an hour?
gosh.
I mean, Well, so Mike, you just said that you let Sharon just put you in the deep end.
Pretty much.
Okay, that's
Pretty
what
much.
that's what I just heard. Now, Lisa, I really do have some questions.
Okay.
One of the things that stuck out to me is how you mentioned about cleaned and prepped. And
Yes.
for those, I'm not even familiar with what you're talking about, and I've been around Mike's shop. What does that mean for our listeners, just so they understand a little bit more about that?
Okay, so when we get our flowers in from our wholesalers, there's a whole process. It's called a chain of life, which we've learned as florists through years. I mean, and with Michael and I both working at the Rose Parade, we even do it there on that big magnitude of flowers that we get in. You don't just get flowers and throw them in a bucket. You have to take all of the foliage off the bottom half of the stem so that it's not sitting in water. Any of that foliage that's sitting in water will just turn to mush and mold and bacteria, and that's what causes the flowers to die. They will turn moldy very fast, very quickly. And I tell people, I tell brides, it's fine. I'm not saying anything about grocery stores or big box stores. They have great flowers too. I mean, I will say I've had to run in and pick up a dozen white roses before, just to fill in or whatever. So I'm not saying anything about product anywhere else. But what I am saying is that the way our business differs is because you can order flowers online or you can go into a big box store and grab flowers. But if you don't know what you're doing with them after you get them to where you're going, it's all for naught. And that's how we really differ. These girls come in and their flowers are ready to go, and they aren't asking me, like, oh gosh, all the hydrangea died, or why did the tulips, just blow open, or the roses blow open. And it's because of this chain of life that they have to go from the grower to the wholesaler to us. Then we get them all prepped, and then it is all ready for the bride and her friends and her bridesmaids to come in.
Well,
Does
there's
that
so
make
much
sense?
too that we have to process. Yes, it did. And we have to process those flowers. I mean, like she said, they don't just come in and then we start designing with them. It takes about 24 hours for us to put them in certain solutions. We dethorn them. A bride comes in, especially with you, Lisa. I mean, they're
Yes.
coming in, they're handling all the flowers, and they're full of thorns. Roses are thorny, so I mean, you have to remove all that, or they'll be, correcting about that. So that's something I mean, you don't know how much detail goes into it until you're actually working with flowers itself.
Lisa, I'm
Exactly. Oh, go
just
ahead.
thinking like logistics, that's my job. Once they're created, do they take them home with them? Do you guys deliver them?
Okay, that's a great question. And because I've done this for so many years, my whole thing was, one of my mentors was always Bobby Ecker Blatchford, who's since passed, but she always used to tell me to work smarter, not harder. And so after being gone for 30 years of Saturdays and Sundays, Fridays, whatever, with this, I decided our cost could be a little bit less. We are definitely not wholesale, but we're not quite retail either, kind of an in between. And because of that, we don't deliver. We have them pick them up. So what happens is they design, we put everything in our coolers, and then, like we always tell brides, there's always somebody that says, what can I do for you? Is there something I can do for you? Do you have a job? Whether it's an aunt or we've had from the maid of honor's husband to many dads, because I always say, the day of the wedding, dads are just as nervous as anybody else, and they're kind of usually
Dads
standing.
need a
Yes, they need a job. So the dads are usually the best ones to come pick up. But when they come to our store, we are in a location where they can back the car right up. We have everything packed in boxes. The bouquets are all in vases of water. And they don't even, one girl said, my brother's coming, but I'm afraid he's going to do something to the flowers. And I said, he doesn't even have to touch them. He just opens the door and we put them in and away they go. So they don't even have to touch the flowers. And it takes about 5 minutes. Seriously, 5 minutes to pick up. And we've had
That's
like
awesome.
4 or 5 weddings picking up in the same day. And we just kind of straddle them and get them out.
So, and Lisa, you said that you do centerpieces as well as bouquets.
Yes, we do. Now, and those can all be taught. So they can have that. We've had full-on parties, bridal showers. Like a lot in Colorado is a destination wedding place, obviously. A lot of people come in from out of state to get married. And excuse me, so some of these girls have not gotten to have a bridal shower. For instance, we had one bride that was from Colorado, but she's lived in Hawaii for a long time. And so she didn't get to come back and have a bridal shower. And so they treated this as her bridal shower. And we let them, they hung decorations. They had some champagne. We've had lots of champagne. And like little crowns and stuff like that. So anyway, they come in and then they do all these. Really, our shop fits 15 comfortably. One of them that had it as a bridal shower as well had about 20 some people in there, about 25. I didn't think we were going to be able to move around much, but anyway, we just have a blast, and they come in and we get it done. We get it done. So they can do centerpieces, bridal bouquets, and then when it comes to the corsages and boutonnieres, because this will be a question, I'm sure, for some people. And Michael, you know this as well as I do. They are too hard to teach. There's more technique and time consuming put into a corsage and boutonniere than, I would rather do 5 bridesmaid bouquets than 15 boutonnieres. What do you think, Michael? They're just so.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
That was going to be one of my questions. So do you give a little class on that, or do you take over from that?
We do those. So we do all the corsages and boutonnieres. And also if they have arch pieces, we do any arch pieces or altar pieces. And those, of course, we charge regular retail because they aren't doing that. That's my time, and it's just better. We wanted to make it fun. We don't want it to be stressful for anyone. So,
well, Lisa, speaking of fun, one of Sharon's favorite things is the boutonnieres. So I'm so glad that Mike brought that up, right, Sharon?
We're not going to talk
She
about
can't figure out how to pin them on. So.
Oh.
So when I'm there at the wedding, I'm always going around. She's always saying, "Mike, will you stick around and make sure you get the boutonnieres pinned on?" But it's all good.
Yeah,
I'll do anything
They
for her.
tend to flop.
It is hard. It's harder than what people think, and so that goes from making them all the way to pinning them on. That's one thing I did do when I did full on weddings. I stayed to pin all the boutonnieres on. I did that
That's what a
many.
good florist would do, Michael.
I was from a lot smaller town than Michael when I went. And here's the thing. This is the reason why I did it. I was in a little town in Iowa, and I always bought picture. I had a separate whole wedding room, kind of like you do, Michael. And I bought a 5x7 and an 8x10 from every bride after her wedding, and my walls were covered with them. And when I first started out, I did like most florists do. I just deliver and away we go. And the groom came back and his boutonniere was sideways in every single picture. And I just, so from then on.
Yeah, I get it. I get that.
It's hard. You can't really do that. When you're doing a lot of weddings or big weddings or there's a lot involved, you can't.
Sometimes you'll be pinned upside down. So it's like the stem's sticking up here.
Yeah, I've never done that.
I think you have.
I have not.
Well, okay, you know what? What you can say about that? That's a European thing. If you look back at old pictures, all of their boutonnieres are upside down. That's winning.
Wow.
I just learned something.
Well, Mike, you tend to
It's probably a European wedding.
yes, and Mike tends to learn something in every episode. It's awesome. But I really like how Lisa called out about the destination weddings, like her being in a destination area. What a cool way to go out of town for your event and to have some kind of little event where you can participate in something
Get all
so
your girls
important.
together.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So how far in advance do you usually book your weddings? I mean, I know that Denver is totally different than Louisville.
Right.
And I I can't even imagine on how even to even begin to start doing what you've done, and you've done it very good at what you're doing here. But how far out in advance do they come to you knowing that they're going to make the bouquets, and or how does that work?
Well, okay. So, okay, you mean how, okay. It's not as far out in advance as what it was when I was total retail. Because,
Right.
I mean, I would have them booking a year in advance, easy.
Correct.
Now, I think because it is DIY, that they think they can. I will have some brides call me 2 weeks in advance. No kidding.
That's what I thought.
Oh, that
Yeah.
just maybe have a
That's what I thought.
So
Okay, so a question I have, Lisa, then, how far out can they do the flowers? I know you said Saturday weddings normally come in on Thursday, but how far can you back that up? Is there room?
well, I say 2 to 3. I don't go any further than that. And
Yeah,
pardon me.
I said I agree with you.
Yes. So one of our packages and is actually it's called Gorgeous Greens because a lot of brides are into a lot of greenery right now. Now that one, obviously, we could back that one up a bit because it's mostly greenery. Nothing's going to happen to it. And when I'm speaking to the brides, I usually tell them, depending on what you pick, I'm going to be able to tell you how far in advance you can do that. If it's something really fragile and I don't feel that they should be able to, they shouldn't do that on Wednesday night. There's 2 choices. They can either come in if Wednesday's their only choice and we do everything except for, let's say it's anemones or something. I can put those in right before they pick up. And if they're okay with that, that I just add that last bit for them, then that's what we do. But it kind of depends on what they pick.
Yeah, and in case you girls didn't know, anemones and ranunculus. Those are more fragile flowers. That's something that you don't want to use right away.
Right.
Well, that was what I'm sitting here thinking in my head is I'm wondering, Lisa, do they get options of all different types of flowers?
Well, okay, and we have evolved since we first started. When we first started, this has kind of been an idea that, like I said, it's just kind of kept going. I first had some very generic packages, and one was we called it wildflowers, something wildflowers. I don't even remember what the name was anymore. Then we had radiant roses, and then we had premium posies. So what happens is that brides, I would say, and you all know this, 99% of brides have social media, have Pinterest pages. There's a lot of florists that hate that, and they hate these brides with these Pinterest pages that, they bring them up. For me, I'm trying to make that a positive. So I just say, hey, send me your Pinterest pages. Let me take a look at what you like. From that, I could fit them into one of those 3 categories real easy. If they had the anemones, ranunculus, peonies, anything that was more expensive, more fragile, of course, that went into the premium posies. Something that had a lot of roses, maybe some hydrangea, maybe alstroemeria, I don't know, what Veronica, something like that. That would go into the radiant rose package. So just because it was called radiant roses didn't mean it was all roses. It just meant that was a predominant part of it. And then the wildflowers.
So they can customize a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think I heard that. They can custom.
They can customize a little bit to what they want.
Yes, exactly. So, and then here, as I said, of this being a mountain area, we'll have a lot of brides say, "Oh, I want mountain flowers or wildflowers." So that's why we always had that wildflower category because there's a lot of brides that would request that. So that was like sunflowers and I don't know, lots of filler flowers, things like that. So since then, I have been able to do some other packages. So if you ever go to our website, you'll be able to see now. I'm trying to make it even easier for brides. So we can do either or. They can give me, well, I still ask for their Pinterest pages, but they can go and maybe they see something they love and they can say, oh, I want that. Just today I had one that was, I think it's called Blue for You or something like that. And it's white roses and blue eryngium, which is a thistle type flower. So either or. I mean, I try to really what this is to make it the easiest possible way for the bride to be able to get her flowers.
Well, I tell you what, going back to what you said about the Pinterest page, I used to hate Pinterest. But I tell you what, if I have a bride come to me and does not have their Pinterest page, I'm kind of like, really? What's going on? Because they just give it to me, and not that I duplicate what they're showing me, but we'll take that inspiration and I'll add or take something away from it. But I think it makes it easier for the bride, and it also makes it easier for me too. But 5 years ago, I wouldn't have said the same thing. I would have said, no, we're not doing nothing Pinterest page. But my attitude's changed completely on Pinterest.
And I think that's why you are so successful as well. I think you have to embrace that. And if you aren't a wedding business that's embracing social media, you're going to be left behind. And that was kind of part of this whole thing with me too. I needed to find a way, and you're right, Michael, it was 5 years ago, and they kept coming with these Pinterest pages, and that's when they were saying, can I get flowers and bring them to you and have you put them together? And I'm like, well, that's not, no, we can't do that. So this was my way of embracing that and turning it into a positive.
Well, I give kudos to you because, I mean, I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago you came up and helped me with the Kentucky Derby, and you were telling me about this, and I'm thinking, the whole time you're telling me, I'm thinking, I don't know about that. I don't know if that'll work. But, girl, you have taken it to the next level, and I think that's amazing.
I think it sounds so fun. Like just something to do with your bridal party that week of the wedding, to get out and drink, some wine or champs and.
Yeah.
Oh, Lisa, if you could only be in this room right now. I know that look on Sharon's face. And can you mark my word, here in about 90 days, we'll do a little follow-up to see what's come of this.
I've got to get him through that shower. Once I convince him that it's fun, then
right, Lisa, let's just hop in with 75 people, right? Just jump in.
Yeah, that is a lot. I just got to tell you, Sharon.
How many do you normally have, Lisa, in your parties?
No, 15 in our shop. Now I do a lot for the Denver Botanic Gardens. I would say it's been 2 years. We're going on 3 years. Of course, last year you kind of that's kind of a wash. So they came to me and asked me if I would they do classes at our Denver Botanic Gardens, whether it's food, they do drawings, they do whatever. And they asked me about some floral classes. And then since then, it went so well. We are continuing that. And they just built on all these awesome classrooms. So I do go to them. Most of the time, 90% of the time, everything is at our shop. But I do go to the Denver Botanic Gardens. And we will have, I think we had like 25 in a class for that because we had the room for it. And I also do the Denver Art Museum, the Denver Art Guild. It's part of the Denver Art Museum. And we will go up to about 25 on that as well. So, it's doable. However, Michael, you might have to just fly me down there to help you with this 75.
Maybe you're going to come down and help me do this. But Sharon thinks it's going to be all clean and just little petite little things.
Oh, it better be by the time she gets there.
There's going to be stems and trash, and she doesn't realize every person's going to have something to cut with and measure with.
Yeah.
I mean, she thinks it's going to be like making bows.
Well, like Sharon says, she likes to, wrap an event up and tie a pretty little bow on it. That's exactly what Mike's going to pull out of somewhere for this event.
I'll contact you. When is that? September?
Yeah, yes, maybe you do. It will be doable. It's just that you're going to have a lot of hands. Like when I hate to say, but when I do the art museum or the Botanic Gardens, it's usually myself and my business partner. And then the Botanic Gardens always has the gal that's in charge of the classes. She's there. And then they always also give us another helper. So we usually have 4 of us working for.
So she has 4 people or 5 people for 25. So that means I need 15 people for 75.
Okay, well, I'm be honest with you, Lisa. I hope that you can carry a little bit of this over to Mike, just because it sounds so exciting. And honestly, what I'm hearing here, guys, is we might have to hit the road and head on out to Denver and really experience this ourselves,
I
right?
love Denver. Pack
Oh,
your
that
bag.
would be so
Sharon
awesome.
always says halves, but what do you say?
Have luggage, real travel.
That's exactly
I
there. You go.
love Denver.
Yeah,
Well, come on out
I didn't realize
or over.
everything that went into, and I think this is going to be so beneficial for engaged couples, but also other vendors that listen to the podcast. I don't think I had any idea what goes into the preparation, depending on the type of flowers, all of the different types of flowers. But when you're putting together these bouquets and things like that, it's not like the flowers just come in and you all start poking away and form a bouquet. But I love what she's doing and really making an experience out of it.
Honestly, I didn't know that either. I had no idea. And when we first started talking about the shower that Mike's going to do the presentation at, I was like, can't you just bring all the flowers in a bunch of buckets and just let the ladies pick what they want and put them in a vase? And he was like, no, 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 no.
Look, Lisa's like, no.
So I've gotten quite the education since then, but we're going to do it.
We're going to do it. It's gonna happen.
I have a good story on that one, if I
Go
can
right
jump
ahead.
in on that. Again, with this whole evolving of our business, at first, I pulled the buckets out like that. Just like you said, Sharon, and the only one I counted out, of course, we had cleaned them all, prepped them all, processed, ready to go. But the only one I counted out was the bride's, and I put hers to the side. Well, we get done, and the rest of them I just put, I thought, well, we can tell, okay, each girl grab 5 roses. Yeah, we get done, because at the end, if you go to our Facebook, our Instagram, or our website, whatever, you'll see we have this big sign, and at the end, we always take a picture of the whole group in front of our DIY sign. And one bridesmaid, her bouquet was probably as big as the bridal bouquet.
Oh my goodness.
She was kind of taking more. She was grabbing more, and just because it was in the bucket, she thought she could have it. And so it was from then on, we're like, oh, yeah, okay. Now this
Does
all
your
has to be counted
Does your
out
sign
for sure.
say, don't be this person? Oh,
I should have a sign. No, now we can count them. We're fine.
well, Mike, I never thought about that, about people reaching.
And there are bridesmaids that would do it for
Yeah.
sure.
That's another episode.
Yeah.
So, okay, now I'm going to reel this back in. Lisa, do you do other types of events other than wedding parties?
Yes, we do. We do. That's a great question. So we have had several birthday parties we've had I think it was a 10-year-old that came in, and I don't even remember what we did for hers. We also had another little girl, and her theme was a Hawaiian luau. So we made leis and grass skirts, and they had a blast. We've had a 25-year-old on the 25th. It was her golden birthday, so they all came in, and they made flower crowns, and then they went out partying. So we're in a really cool district, around a lot of restaurants and bars.
I love it.
And so when they got done making their crowns, they took off and went out partying. And let's see, we've had sororities. We have had book clubs. We have had church groups. And then every year I have a Valentine's night for the men. And we've done that for 3 years now. We didn't do it this year. Well, we did it last year before COVID hit. We didn't do it this year. But we let the men come in, and and everybody's insurance is a little different, but we learned a lot on that. We had signed all the paperwork. We were going to do liquor license, but what we found was that we are so busy when people are there, we don't have time. It wouldn't pay for itself because we don't have time to drink. But under our insurance agent told us that we can give one drink. We can't sell it. We can't give them a lot, but we can give one drink. So we have the guys in on Valentine's Day. They can do a dozen roses or 10 tulips. One year we did carnations in the shape of a heart. We got like a heart-shaped oasis, and they were able to do that. But anyway, and we give them a beer. And then the bar across the street, they worked with us, and they gave out chips. And so as soon as they're drinking chips, not eating chips. And so when they were finished, they got to go across the street and have another drink. So that has been very
That
popular.
is so cool.
I think that's a wonderful idea. Wonderful idea.
Oh my God. And you would not believe the guys get a little picky. You know, when you always hear people say guys don't care about flowers or they don't like flowers, they do like flowers, and they're artistic. Their creativity comes out.
Well, I'm going to give a shout out
Yeah,
to the
they have-
grooms right now, because with you saying that, in the last 2 years, I have had more grooms show up at my wedding consultations and they're more interested than the bride is, to be honest with you. So I think that's a trend
Wow.
that we're starting to see change, that the guys are more interested, in being involved with weddings.
I always ask my couples, I'll ask each one, what's the most important part of the wedding to you? And it shocks me how many of the guys say flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I may steal that Valentine's Day. I don't know when I'd squeeze that in, but I think that's a really good idea.
When are you
that's
going to
a
do that?
really neat idea.
So,
Yeah. I mean, and I have all these ideas going around in my head, but to get them done, I guess I could keep going. I'm just kind of tired, so I don't
yeah, I get it.
I don't like to
get
work
it.
quite as hard. But I've also thought that we could have guest artists in, and maybe if you've ever had a baby or went to a baby shower or heard of those baby showers now, and they do those diaper cake things, whatever, I thought that would be so much fun to have somebody that knows how to do one of those come in and have a baby shower. And
That's cool.
and let everybody make one of those in all different, because any of us that have had babies, you need those diapers in all different sizes, and you need them quickly because you go through them so fast. And so that's an idea. I thought about having a jewelry artist come in. I just haven't gotten there yet, but those are some other
Well, you
ideas.
stay busy enough with doing what you're doing, so that's good. That's really good.
Yeah,
this has
that's
been
why I
so
can't. That's why I can't
informational.
do it.
But I mean, I know, and I hope that Lisa's had a great time promoting her business, but I feel like I've learned so much from this. And Sharon, stuff that I feel like we were around Mike so much that I'm like, wow, there really is a lot to this. He always says he's busy, but now I kind of understand a little bit. But
I just love
He's
the
not-
concept.
I love the concept.
Yeah, because
Love it.
I have girls all the time that are like,
I think
I had my bachelorette party, but everybody's coming in town on Wednesday or Thursday. Like, what can we do? And I'm always I can't find anything for them to do. So I think this is a really, really neat idea. I'm gonna be talking to my friend the florist after this.
Well, Lisa, thank you so much for coming and joining us today. I mean, if any brides or anyone is looking to do their own flowers and they're going to be visiting Denver,
Or for that matter, looking for
Yeah.
a destination spot.
yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Someday we hope to have some of these maybe in other cities, because our name and our logo are trademarked. We trademarked them, but we just haven't done that yet. I think I talked to your wife actually, Michael, when I was there about licensing versus franchising, and so it's something. There's lots of things that might still happen, and anyway, there was one other thing I wanted to say, if you guys don't mind. Sharon, you mentioned about him coming in early and coming from out of town or whatever. Another benefit that came about that we weren't even expecting is that we've had so many good comments and reviews afterwards about how these bridesmaids all didn't know each other.
Mm.
So maybe some was from a high school, or a cousin, or a childhood friend, or a college roommate, and they didn't know each other. And so they were able to meet at our shop And so the day of the wedding, it wasn't, or like rehearsal, it wasn't like, who is that? No, what was she from college or where was she from? And they all got to know each other. And we even had a bride that was just doing like an elopement, and she just brought the two mothers. The two mothers had never met. And so she came in, did her bouquet, and just brought the moms. And
That's
so
cool.
it's been a really,
That's awesome.
yeah, it's been really good. That's been a plus that we weren't even
I love that.
expecting.
Wow. I'm just, so much has come from this episode. And Lisa, thank you for letting us spotlight your business and talk about the details, but also teach me and Sharon and Mike something. He admitted he learned something too. This has been great. And we hope that maybe down the road you'll come back on and we can have a more detailed conversation about flowers or all that kind of stuff. Because, Mike, I know you love to talk all things flowers.
Well, maybe we can get Lisa to come to Louisville and
Oh, you know,
No.
it won't take much. It won't take much to get
Absolutely,
me
and do it in person.
and do it in person.
Yes.
I mean, we would actually, if you ever
Yeah.
wanted to come and do something like this, like at Mike's shop, we could pack that plate. I think we'd have a ball. I mean, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Well,
Michael's
Right.
I love the
Michael's
words.
like,
right. So I'm going to go ahead. Lisa,
When are we
thank
going
you.
to have time to do that?
Right. Lisa, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time. And everybody that wants to connect or look up Lisa's information, we'll have all the details in the show notes. Make sure that you connect with her on social media. And we can't wait to hear your feedback about this episode. So until next time, everyone stay safe. See ya.
This episode of The Ring, The Bling, and All the Things was brought to you by The Wedding Experts, whose mission is to connect engaged couples easily and efficiently to local wedding experts. Visit theweddingexperts.love to connect with your local wedding vendors, as well as access valuable resources to help you plan all the details for your big day. If you are a wedding professional, there are affordable and effective advertising opportunities available to you by visiting theweddingexperts.love/advertise.